What's up, guys? Welcome back. Surfing Tips Saturday, episode number 8. So, missed a couple episodes because we were traveling around doing some contests, but we have lots of questions now to answer, lots to get through, and of course, I don't know what else. Put your questions in the comments below, and we answer them in the next video.
New guy.
We got a new guy this week. Kuba, you might have seen him in some of our other videos. He's going to be part of the Chaka Surf team now. He's pretty much comic relief. That's what he's here for. So anytime you see any kind of antics or crazy stuff going on, it's usually
Him.
Kuba, Jake. So welcome to Surfing Tips Saturday. He's super shy too. He's not really ready for the camera. But anyhow, let's get started. First question from Darren Peterson. How do you avoid nosediving? When I'm surfing and a bigger wave comes, I'll paddle for it. The wave takes me, and I nosedive. Is that one me?
Go for it, Brad.
All right. The reason most people nosedive is not what you think. It's not because we're too far forward on the board. If we get too far forward on the board, we can nosedive, but that's usually not the issue. If you're so far forward on the board, you're probably not even able to paddle the board without the nose going under. Most likely, if you're catching an open face wave and you are nosediving, it's because you're catching the wave when it gets too critical, when it gets too steep. I'm assuming you're probably surfing a little bit bigger of a board. Either way, you need to build momentum in your paddling and be moving fast enough to catch the wave before it gets really steep. If we're trying to catch the wave when it's here, it's really easy to nosedive. You want to catch the wave and be getting to our feet before it gets super duper steep.
Less steep than that.
Yeah, so it can even be less steep the bigger the board we ride. So that is usually the most common reason, is because you're catching the wave too late, probably because you see a wave on the horizon, you spin around, you take off paddling, you're not paying attention to the wave comes right up underneath you and topples you over. You want to be catching the wave a little bit sooner, is what it sounds like. And other reasons people nosedive?
One other really common reason that a lot of people don't realize is if you're not straight or if you're crooked on the board, a lot of beginners will catch the wave and they won't be straight. They'll be kind of paddling at an angle. And then what happens is, as soon as the wave pushes them, their board wants to straighten out, they catch a rail, and then the nose goes under. But it happens so quick, they think it's all nose. So make sure that you're centered on your board and you're catching it at the beginning straight. So you don't want to be catching angled waves when you're starting out. You want to be catching perpendicular to the wave.
And I think the last thing that we see all the time is, even if you catch the wave in the perfect spot, if you're not getting up to your feet soon enough and you're belly riding down the face of the wave, a lot of times people will hesitate at that moment where they need to be standing up. And if they would have stood up, they would have been able to control themselves down the drop. They wait too long, they're almost at the bottom of the wave, they stand up and they nosedive.
And make sure your hands are here, not here.
Not grabbing up your front, scared hands. All right, next question. So these next couple questions are for our comedian here. Brendan Raysoak would like to know, I would like to know what length leash I need. I'm 4'5", and you're about 4'5", right?
No, I'm 5'10".
Yeah, whatever. So, what length leash should you be using?
You're 4'5", and you should probably be using a 5-foot leash for your shortboard.
What if he's got a 9-foot surfboard?
Then he should be using one that's like about 10 feet or similar to the size of his surfboard.
Bingo. Got to be a little bit, about the same size as your surfboard, a little bit longer. Is that what you're trying to say? That's what he's trying to say. A little bit longer than your surfboard.
Small to medium sized waves, a little bit longer, 6 inches to a foot longer than your board. Bigger waves,
What do you think?
Longer leash.
even longer.
Thicker leash. You want your board to be really far away from you when you wipe out on a big wave, and so it doesn't hit you, because that sucks. Right?
No fun.
Sucks. All right, next leash question for our leash expert, because Kuba always wears a leash because he doesn't want to lose his board. Kuba actually cannot swim. So he's got to keep it close to him for flow. Okay, Agustin Chavez asks, which leg do I put the leash on? It's a good question, common question. What leash should you put what leg should you put the leash on?
If you're a goofy footer, you put your leash on your left leg, and if you're regular, you put on your right leg.
Which is which leg?
That's an easier way of saying it.
On the leg that's on the pad.
The back leg.
The back foot.
The back foot on your surfboard.
Yeah.
Always a back foot.
By the way, Kuba's only been surfing for 2 years?
Yeah.
2 years.
2.5 years?
Pretty good surfer.
So he's progressing quickly.
All right. And always want to have the leash cord pointed away. Like if you're putting it on your right ankle, that's your back foot. You want it to be pointed like towards the back of the surfboard, not towards your other foot.
Front.
Otherwise, it'll get wrapped up. because it's already going to get wrapped up in your legs sometimes anyways. So I have it pointed away. Best way. That way when you take off, the leash pulls behind you and it's away from you and not wrapped
All
around
right,
your
we
foot.
gotta roll through these questions.
Okay. All right, from Isaac Bass. I'm working on my tail rips. Any advice? You like whipping tail?
All day.
Tail release, right?
Releasing the tail.
Throwing the tail out.
Yeah.
Releasing the tail. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So you basically want to hit the most critical part of the wave. If you hit it too far out, it's gonna, well, you're not gonna have enough, like, well, it's not speed, it's like enough wall to throw your tail out. Your tail is just gonna dig the side of the wave. So you want to hit the critical part of the wave where it's nice and steep, so you can hit it and throw your tail out while you push most of your weight on your front foot, and your back foot is pretty light.
Way forward.
So you transfer your weight as you're hitting the lip into your front foot to release the tail. Anything else?
Keep your shoulders. Once you hit it, when you're gonna hit the wave, you're facing towards the wave. And once you hit it, you face towards the beach and try to open your shoulders towards the beach too.
And what about your legs? Compression, kind of a thing. Do you push into it? Do you press into it?
Well, you compress coming up. Once you hit it, you sort of even out, and once you're coming back down, you compress again and get ready for the next maneuver.
Hit the lip vertical. Weight on your front foot. Torque the
Compress.
shoulders. Compress. And practice.
So you have to actually release off the wave, so you have to take the weight off of your foot. So if you're doing like a hack or a carving turn, you push into the tail all the way through the turn. Release the tail, you don't, right? You're gonna take that weight off that back foot.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
Alrighty. From Saving Apollo Music, had a couple of questions from you. Tips on going from longboard to shortboard and on getting up. Since I ride both, I don't think anybody else here rides a longboard ever.
You're a longboard guy.
I can go back and forth from surfing the boards. One thing to remember is when you're going back and forth between boards, you have to change your approach. You're not looking for the same kind of waves on your longboard as you are on your shortboard. You're not catching the waves in the same spot. So it's important to keep in mind that if you try and surf your longboard like a shortboard and catch waves in the same spot, it's not gonna work. And I think specifically you talked about getting up. When you're on a big board, your toes are touching the back of the board, you can get some push off the board with your feet. On a smaller board, we don't have that. Our feet are behind us. So we actually have a really good video, our shortboard pop-up video, that kind of explains how we get to our feet on smaller boards without having, because obviously you can't push off the water to get your feet underneath you. So great video, we'll plug it in there. And biggest thing to remember, like I said, when you're moving to a smaller board, we're getting up in a different section of the wave. We have to paddle a little harder to catch the waves. We're catching the waves on a shortboard in a steeper part of the wave than we do on a longboard. And so you just have to remember to change your approach. You can't approach it the same way. They're completely different styles of surfing. And if you try and use the same exact techniques on both, there's similarities, but if you try to use the same exact techniques for both boards, you're going to be stuck and plateau and not be able to progress on either one of them. So another question from him, he was talking about catching small waves on shortboards. Said 1 to 2 foot waves are common. So, Atua?
Tips
Take that
for
one?
catching waves on
Small waves on shortboards.
Max? Okay.
Yeah, I think like when you want to make sure when you're trying to catch the wave that you're paddling hard enough, and when you think like you're almost in the wave, take like a few extra paddles, like 2 or 3, just to make sure that you're in the wave, and make sure that you're far enough up on your board, so you're not like on the tail of your board, or else you're not gonna catch anything.
Paddle hard.
Paddle hard.
Those extra 2 paddles, maybe in the direction, right, that you want to go.
Yeah.
For sure.
Paddling down the line.
So you paddle,
Angling, you take
two
off.
more paddles in the direction.
I'll also say equipment too. There's some, if you're surfing 1 to 2 foot waves, you can surf shortboards, lots of people do it, but small little potato chip shortboards aren't necessarily going to work. You need to have a small wave surfboard thing with maybe
Watch our video. We have a video on paddling too. Make sure your paddling is dialed.
But having good equipment, I mean, we all just went and ordered new boards, and we ordered specifically boards for smaller waves for like the summertime here when the waves are smaller. They're usually a little bit thicker, they're a little bit wider. They're just designed to surf small waves, and I
Not
bet,
so much rocker.
Yeah.
A little less rocker.
and they go fast on small waves, which makes your life easier. It's easier if you let the board do the work for you, I think.
A lot of people surf smaller boards than they should because they see all the pros doing it, and a lot of guys are doing it. It's kind of a fad right now to be on the tiniest board as possible. You know, but I think a lot of people are on boards too small. So double check that.
So, all right. Next question from Mavasi Love. I'm struggling to do up and down maneuvers to get the board going after takeoff. I heard throwing the arms helps, but I don't know the right way to do it. I'm going front side. So, pumping?
I guess we can all add to this, but we're talking about basically doing this. We're either pumping or just cruising down the line, right? So it's not so much throwing your arms is going to make you do that. Throwing your arms is something you do to assist in it. So you should be able to go up and down the wave without thinking about throwing your arms first. Then you would actually be throwing your arms to assist going up the wave. So if you're going down the face when you want to come up, but it's all timing. So the first thing you need to do is basically learn how to do it with your feet and balance. It's all basically just angling the board, turning, using your rails in the right part of the wave, keeping your balance. And then once you get that kind of wired, then you can start pivoting and torquing. And we don't throw our arms like that. It's more of a lift, kind of lift at the shoulders.
And what that's doing is it's a way to unweight yourself off the board, so you're becoming light as you come up the face of the wave, and you're able to do it really, really quickly. That's more of an advanced technique. If we're talking about just
you
normal
lift
pumping,
to the face. So if you're going front side, you'd be lifting your arms this way. If you're going back side, you're lifting this way to the. But yes, you need to get the other part down first.
so basically you're talking about if you're going front side, you're going toe side pressure up the wave, heel side pressure towards the beach down the wave, toe side, heel side, and that's the basic
Back,
up
tail,
and down motion.
Front of the board, back of the board, front of the board.
So that is that.
So it's a combination of toe, heel, front, tail.
All right. Anything else to add? All right. So go do it. All right. Last question from John Tyson. He posted this on our paddling video. Our paddle expert. What if your board is wider than your shoulders? Isn't it just a forearm paddle? So what he's talking about is we want to have our arms deep in the water when we paddle. We talked about that in our paddling video. But what if your board is wider than your shoulders?
In order for the two is only 12 years old, so to do what you're talking about, the board would have to be like this wide. That's like what, 25 inches? That's massive.
That's like, yeah,
So
that'd be like him on a
that
golf
makes
board.
sense if you're, say, a little kid. You're 5, 6 years old and you're on, say, a Fun Shape or a 22, 23 inch wide board. It's going to be wide, but most adults, if you're on a board that's too wide, that means that you are built like an elf, which is possible.
You're really offending John right now.
And
What
you're
if he
probably
is a small
paddling.
person?
Well, you could be trying to paddle a stand-up paddle board, which is they're like 26 inches wide.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, yes, if you're on a super wide longboard or something, and you got a really narrow build, that could be a problem. But yeah, obviously you can only paddle, but wherever it is, you're gonna paddle as deep as you can. But
I have to say, I'm a small guy. I'm like 5'6". How tall are you, Kuba? Kuba's 5'6". I'm 5'7". But
5'8".
I'm not a big guy at all, and I ride longboards, and I've ridden longboards that are 24 inches wide, which is a pretty wide board, and I can still effectively paddle them. I
you
mean,
can
that's-
penetrate deep.
Yeah, I can still get my arm really deep in the water. So yeah, if you're having trouble paddling around your board,
You know,
might
everybody's
just
built
be-
different, so it's
you might just be
possible.
on a little bit too big
You
of a
could have
surfboard.
really short arms and a really narrow build, and you could be on a super wide stand-up paddle board.
So maybe your board's a little too wide.
Well, in that case, just penetrate as deep as your structure lets you. Obviously, you don't want to be rubbing on the rails.
Penetrate as deep as you can in the water. So, anything else to add to this episode of Surfing Tips Saturday?
Well, why don't you tell them about the new video that you put up for beginners?
New video for beginners, guys. It's basically we have lots of videos on our channel, but this is a how-to guide. It's like a step-by-step guide for what videos you can watch in order to help assist you in learning to surf, from the pop-up all the way through some more advanced techniques. And if you follow them one by one, it's not something that you're going to be able to go out and master all these in one day if you're a beginner, but it's a really good guide, and it kind of organizes the videos so they're really easy to follow.
Links out to them.
Yeah, we have links, so you can be watching the video and say, oh, I'm at the paddling part, and you click the link, takes you to our paddling video in a new window, you watch that, and then you go back and you keep watching the video. So, really awesome guide. Definitely, I think will help you guys out in learning.
Correct. I think that wraps it.
That wraps it,
Unless,
guys.
Kuba has something he wants to say.
Kuba, take us out.
What about to all the girls out there that can be watching?
He doesn't have anything to say to them. So.
He needs to say no more. Look at this face. Look at this. He's the poster child for surf coaches. So, anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Always keep the thumbs up coming, and we will see you guys in the next video.